Nice. Look at that. And just that beautiful richness of flavor. How are we looking over here? What am I looking for? Tongs. Let me see those tongs. Flip them over. Look at that, guys. Look at that for beautiful color here, right? That's exactly what we're looking for. And we're going to turn the heat off on that as well now because would you believe we're almost ready to serve. Now, didn't take too long. You know what we'll do? We'll just put that one there and turn that one off. Do you know what? A little bit of soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce. We'll have a look what's in the, yeah, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce because I think it's going to work nice. Just a couple of drops. Look at this, guys. That is quail. How do I know when the quail is cooked? Touch it. Don't be afraid to touch the food. Don't be afraid, even better still, guys, don't be afraid. Cut one open, okay? Because you're trying, you're learning, you know, this is the first time you've done it. You want to see have you done it right. So have a little cut through that. Look at that. Absolute perfection. Pink in the middle, medium rare. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're on track and we're looking good. What do we do now? Absolute fantastic. You know what we'll do? Here. Let's bang it all in together. Oh yeah. Perfect. The money shot for the director. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And we're going straight onto the plate to serve up. So put it straight into the middle. Look at this. Look at this. Turn the plate as you go in. Look at this. Look at this. It's simple. It's 3-4 ingredients. It's what the show's all about. Cooking food, having fun. Here we are. Look at a little bit of a garnish there. And a little bit of a garnish there. And a little bit of a garnish there. Absolutely perfect. Sprinkle on salt just to finish it up. And as I took into my little bit of quail, the director is going to show you a beautiful shot of a quail flying by outside the sea. While the director is still off trying to find a picture of a quail flying by, the night is closing in and we're going to finish off with the most amazing take on a risotto. Risotto with a dessert? Can it be done? Of course it can. That's how easy it is. We're going to make it like vanilla stock with milk. Both pans on, very, very low heat. Got some beautiful fresh milk. That's just going in. And that's instead of our chicken stock or veg stock or fish stock. I haven't a clue how much is in there. Plain, simple, granulated sugar. A vanilla pod. And you've seen this 1,000 times down the line, guys, okay? How to make your get the seeds out of the vanilla pod. So we'll pop that in. Waste nothing, so throw that in. There's loads of flavor in that. Little bit of knob of butter. Rice, or risotto rice, and I'm using like just a normal arborio rice. You can use just normal long grain rice if you want, but this is beautiful. A handful per person, okay? And we're gonna start coating the rice. Mix in the vanilla pods with the sugar and the milk. Coat all the risotto, the arborio rice, with a little bit of melted butter. Don't put too much sugar into the stock at the moment. We can always add a little bit more in. Lovely, you can see the steam coming out. That's the exact temperature that we want the stock at, just at a nice gentle simmer. And now it's as simple as making risotto. So we're gonna pour in a ladle of our stock. Just taste it, okay? Now we want it a little bit al dente, but not too hard. So let's go in with a little bit more of our stock. Let's grate up a little bit of our chocolate. Don't worry if you've got too much stock in there, because a little bit of chocolate powder into that, it's the best hot chocolate you're gonna have. We're gonna finish it up with a little bit of plain, simple pouring cream. Put in 2 tablespoons, bang that in for the rest of your hot chocolate. A little bit of mascarpone cheese. And again, this just kind of thickens it up and makes it so lush. If you feel it's getting too hot now at the moment, drop the heat, okay? Our white chocolate, keep a little bit back for a garnish. Give it a nice little stir. This stage, turn off the heat. The residual heat is enough in there to melt that chocolate. And let's plate her up. And what a way to finish a show. The night's coming in, it's time to go to bed. I should have done this in my dressing gown. It's a white chocolate risotto with a few fresh raspberries. It's that simple. Come back next week. There's plenty more in the can. You're going to love it. This is Trevo's Kitchen. It's pretty calm out here, isn't it? Wait until you get inside. Welcome to Trevo's Kitchen. Coming up today, we have got some fantastic recipes. We've got a beautiful lamb and fennel seed skewer. I think I'm pickling something as well. After that, we've got an old classic soup, one of my all-time favorites. It's a mulligatawny curried soup, and I'm gonna show you how to make a beautiful goat's cheese scone to go along with it too. Then after that, we're gonna do, let's just call it a rice dish, okay? You'll see when we get to it, but trust me, once you see it, you're gonna wanna cook it. So first up is these beautiful lamb and fennel seed skewers. We got some beautiful minced lamb. You can use beef, you can use minced pork, you can use minced chicken, you can use your imagination, you can use whatever you want to do. But in this pan here, first of all, on just a kind of a medium heat, we'll get the process going. And I'm going to talk to you about kind of stuff that we're going on because I've got a whole load of stuff. I'm going to show you how simple it is to pickle a little bit of a salad or whatever to go with these skewers. So in we go with a few fennel seeds. It's important to know it's in a dry pan, no oil, no butter, none of that kind of stuff, because we want to kind of just toast them for a couple of seconds. And that's going to give me a few minutes to move on to the next part. So what we're doing here is I'm going to fry off a little bit of my shallots, a little bit of garlic. I'll add a little bit of butter and oil as well to it. I'm going to cool it down and we'll add it in to our lamb to really enhance the flavor of it. So let's go. So it's a small little dice that we go into it. Very simple. Look at that. Just cut down and then nice and as fine or as thinly as you can. But again, look at that, fantastic. I've got here maybe say about 400 or 500 grams of lamb. You know me and garlic now at this stage, I absolutely love it. Okay, so look at this now. You can hear them nice and toasty. And that's exactly what, if you really wanted, you go get a little pestle and mortar and ground it in, but I actually love the taste of the seeds like this. So we're gonna put in our shallots. Here a little bit of a sizzle, which is always good. And at this stage now, I'm just going to put in, you know I love this, a little knob of butter. And that's going to help soften the onions and the garlic. And we're going to just put in a little bit of our olive oil. Perfect. Now, turn the heat right down because we only just want that to soften. We don't want it to be burning away. Look at that. Stunning. I'm going to show you how to pickle. Real simple pickle. We'll start off with our kind of pickling liquor. So in here, I have a white balsamic vinegar. A white wine vinegar is just as good. But I don't want any color in it. But I want it to work its magic. So we're going to put in, I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 tablespoons of that. Don't worry about it. That's not actually going to be coming onto the plate. We just want this to kind of cure our cucumber, our asparagus, and our fennel. So let's take the top of that and half a cucumber is loads. And we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of our sugar. That's just to kind of sweeten it up just a little bit. Perfect. Just mix it around like this so that the sugar dissolves. Difficulty level 0. Now, let's go. So straight down the middle of your cucumber. And we're going to get the spoon and we're just going to scoop out all the seeds, like so. Listen to your pots and pans talking to you, saying, we're almost done. Turn us off in a sec, so we will. I have a speed peeler here. because I want this nice and fine. We're going to play around with the textures. We're going to have this very fine. We might have the fennel just slightly thicker. And I'm going to turn off our onions there now. That has done everything that I needed to do. And actually what I'll do is I'll swap it over because you want that to cool. If you want, stick it in the fridge for a few minutes. But by the time I get to it, that'll have cooled down nicely. When you're at home, do the whole lot. Straight into our pickling liquor. That looks fantastic. So, a little bit of a fennel. For this, we'll maybe just top and tail it a bit. Take off the bottom there. We'll cut down a little piece like this. That's perfect. Take out, there's a little bit of a root. Make sure we take that out because we want to get it nice and fine. And just literally pull that straight out. And now, with your knife, I want you to just go in nice and fine. Mix it up into its pickling liquor. Top tip, great practice, keep one hand clean all the time. Because all of a sudden if the phone rings, you can answer it, okay? So, and that is the most basic and simple way to pickle something. Fantastic. And let's flip over our board, get this out of the way, clean up our knife, and we'll talk about the lamb. And in we go. Beautiful, fresh lamb. Go to your butchers. If you want, ask them to get a piece of lamb and watch them mince it there and then. That's how you get the best quality. That, throw her in. So, it's a cheaper cut of meat. So we want to add in a lot of flavor because it can take a lot of flavor off it as well. So we're going to throw in lovely Cajun spices. We're going to throw in our onion mixture. Hit it with a load of rock salt, pepper, and of course my favorite, dried herbs. Cajun seasoning, fantastic. Only a little bit of salt because we're going to season the skewers themselves so you get the real flavor out of them. Ground black pepper. Now, our onion mix, our fennel seed mix, that's all cooled down enough now so we can bang that in. Beautiful. And there's only one thing to do, get your hand stuck in and give it a really good mix. Our pickling salad, or whatever you want to call it, is working beautiful. And now we get out a few of our skewers. You make it into a kind of like a sausage shape first of all. Okay, and then just basically put the skewer straight onto it. Work it all the way up. That's it. One. While these are setting in the fridge, because I'm only going to cook off 3, I'll finish off the rest of the skewers. Now, so, skewers have chilled down, beautiful. Let's get the pan on. Start off only on a medium heat on this time, okay? And again, as I say, guys, good practice. Just clean up as we go along in the cooking while you've got a few minutes. Let's go in with my favorite knob of butter and a little bit of olive oil. So just season one side here. Good seasoning can make average ingredients taste amazing. Bad seasoning can make the best ingredients in the world taste like muck. Why butter and oil at the same time? Butter for flavor, oil for heat. Remember that, great little tip. So let's put her in there now. So let's put this in. And we want to bring it up nice and slow. Turn it season side, important, season side down, because we're going to season the other side of it. Look at that. And as that comes up to temperature, so what are we doing like that? It's bringing up a nice little crust. Perfect. So, season the second side. Lovely. And a little bit of our pepper. Now, give it a minute for it to take its little crust, then we flip it over and we're going to finish it in the oven. Absolute beautiful smell. And that's the fennel seed that's given it that absolute fantastic smell. When you cook this at home, guys, you're going to get the exact same thing. What are we looking for? Simple. Give it a little touch, okay? You don't want too much of a spring in it. That means it's not cooked, okay? So that is perfect. Here's our little pickle. Look at that. Absolute stunning. And it's all about colors. This is all about presentation. Look at that. You don't want the actual pickling liquor to come in with it. The flavor is in here already. So we're going to put on a little bit more just to get a little bit of height. Oh, this looks absolutely amazing. Now, we didn't season that, remember? All we had in it was the vinegar and the sugar. So now we're going to put in just a tiny little bit of salt. Beautiful. A little bit of natural yogurt, okay? This is our kind of our dipping sauce. And just go a little bit chefy. Don't too worried about it. Here's a tip. When you're putting something like this on the plate, always odd numbers. Apparently, the eye picks up on that much better. So we're going to put in a little 5 dollops or something like that. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah. Now, finish it off just on top. This is jarred mint sauce. Why? Because there's a guy somewhere in the world who makes this better than you and I ever will. So give him his moment of glory. A simple little mint sauce straight out of a jar. Mint and lamb, it's just an absolute classic. Look at that, a little bit of a dip. Oh yeah, this is really good. Looks fantastic. Now, get our skewers. So we're gonna stick one here. This is where it gets tricky, but we'll figure it out. Wouldn't it be hilarious if one fell off the skewer now? There we go. What a dish. What a cracking dish. I should actually do this stuff full time. Holy God, that looks amazing. Remember, finish. Always a little bit of green on top, just for that color, just to bring it out, just for that final step. Cover up the sticks. Now, look at that. If you got that at home, in any restaurant, you'd absolutely love it. Lamb skewers with some pickle stuff, bit of yogurt, and mint sauce. Gotta love soup because it's a great way to use up stuff that's pretty much either going off, coming to the end of it, and that's why it's a great kitchen favorite. So what are we making today? It's a classic mulligatawny soup, which is basically root vegetable and curried soup. But I'm also gonna do a lovely goat's cheese scone to go along with it. So let's have a little look. I've got turnip here first of all, okay? Now, you mightn't be able to get your hands on that depending what part of the world you're in. So just replace it with any root vegetable, maybe a butternut squash, maybe a parsnip, anything you want. That's the beauty of soup. Let's get the heat on here while we're waiting. A little bit of butter and a little bit of olive oil. This is really important for getting flavor into soup. We're gonna sweat off the vegetables, starting off without any stock or anything, because that releases the natural sweetness, the natural sugars in it, and it's simple little things that's the difference between an amazing soup and a kind of a, yeah, that wasn't too bad. I don't understand why we put flour into our soup, because when you think about it, if we put in less stock, it's going to be thicker. So especially nowadays, a lot of people have celiac issues and gluten issues, so we don't put in any flour. I say maybe a seafood chowder. That's about the only time I put flour into it. So peel our spud here. Maybe 2 carrots, we'll see how it goes. Nothing difficult. Nice and simple, that's exactly what we're looking for. I've got a little bit of spring onion, guys. Unless I had some garlic. already it's starting to smell nice, okay? So stir it all up, coat it with the oil and the butter, but what makes it mulligatawny is a mild curried spice. So that's exactly what I have. If you like it really spicy, throw in the hotter curry, but I have a nice little mild, so it's a nice kind of warm, smooth soup, and that's what you want on a cool evening, winter time. Now, give that a few minutes. Season, flaked rock salt. Again, this soup is for 6 to 8 people, so don't be saying that's too much salt. It's not. And a good few cracks of the black pepper. 15, 20, whatever you think yourself. One day they will invent smell-o-vision, but that smells absolutely stunning. So let's pour in our stock and we can forget about the soup for a while then. So I'm just going to use a vegetable stock this time. And be careful here, right? Because I said don't put any flour in, right? So we can add in a bit more stock afterwards if it's too thick, but we can't take it out. So bring it up to about just barely covering the veg. Now, how easy was that? That's pretty much the essence of the soup made. What we do is bring it up to a boil and then just let it simmer away until the veg is nice and tender, and then we're gonna blitz it all up. Scones. So basically what I'm using here now is a self-raising flour, okay? You can use a plain flour if you don't have any, and we're gonna do it all by eye. So it's about a kg bag. So I'm gonna throw in, I don't know, what's that, about half to 600 grams or so if you're really worried about. And I've got some margarine here, and that's just a standard kind of 8 ounces. So we'll put in about, I'd say maybe 3.5, 4 ounces. And you want it kind of nice and soft. We're gonna put that in. And what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna make kind of like the breadcrumbs, cream that in a little bit. And this should make about 6 scones or so, give or take. So just crumble the marge between the, look at the way I'm doing that, between the tips of your fingers until it's pretty much kind of all gone into it. But it doesn't matter if there's a little odd speck of the margarine still in it. So that's it, nicely kind of crumbed in. Our soup has come to the boil, so it's at this stage, drop the heat. That's gonna go simmer away nicely for about 15, 20 minutes. Here I have some beautiful goat's cheese, nice soft goat's cheese log, okay? And this literally, you're just gonna drop it in little bits and pieces around, okay? So it's gonna melt into the scone and it's just gonna give it a little burst of flavor. So just drop it all in. As I said, don't be too particular about it. It's whoever gets a piece, great. The last thing we're gonna pour in is our buttermilk, okay? Never mind measurements, just use your brain. It's the best computer in the world. So let's throw in our buttermilk. So we make a little bit of a well inside. And we'll play it by ear. We'll put in about maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 fluid ounces of it there. And just get your hand like a claw and just kind of bring it around the dough. Tiny little bit more of the buttermilk. Just a little bit. So play it by ear. You don't want it too sticky and you don't want any of the flour left on the bottom of it. So just basically making a dough. And now we're pretty much there with our scone. If you don't have a scone cutter, there you are. Now you have a scone cutter, use your hands. Into the oven for about 15-20 minutes, 180 degrees. Absolutely perfect. You would have heard a little bit of fancy music, bubbly, bubbly scones going in and out of the oven. Here we are now. Our soup has come to the simmer. All the veg is nicely softened. Now we're going to pour in a little bit of cream just to rich it up a little bit. The reason why I wanted to do the soup for you guys is to show you just how simple it is to make a soup with bits of veg that might be going off or something like that. We can transform it into a fantastic dish. go inside. Perfect, that's what we're looking for. It's a simple little dish. Now, here's my little bit of salt and my butter. Sit down, a little bit of comfort. They're so tasty. Beautiful, warming mulligatawny soup and a goat's cheese scone. Now we're going to show you a serious technical dish. Kind of a rice dish. It's really easy and it took me so long to set up. It's getting a little bit dark outside, the night's coming in, but it's a perfect dish to do for a dinner party, for the family. It's going to take a couple of minutes to prepare, well worth the effort. Now, so what I have here is chicken drumsticks and chicken thighs. We're going to make like a kind of a marinade or something, or marinade, depending where you're from. So a little bit of sweet chili. As you can tell, I love my sweet chili. And a good bit of olive oil. Straight in. I have these beautiful smoked sausages as well. I got some dried oregano there. You know how much I love using dried herbs. I don't think we use them enough. This is perfect. And basically straight in with our chicken. Now, you remember we did the spatchcock chicken in another episode? This is also going to take 45 minutes to cook exactly. And our rice is going to take about 45 minutes from start to finish. And I'll mix it all up. Massage it all away. Think of whatever it is you want to think of. Look at that. You basically just want to coat all the chicken, skin side, flesh side, with everything we've got in there. We want the skin facing up so that it gets nice and crispy in the oven. Try and get as much as the skin exposed as possible so it gets a lovely crispiness on it. How difficult was that? A couple of minutes. Quick wash of the hands, get rid of that tray, and we are flying. Rock salt. I'm going to pop this on heat. I'm going to pop this into the oven, 180 degrees, 45 minutes, 180 degrees, 45 minutes. Butter for flavor, oil for heat. Okay, so the oil stops the butter from burning. What shall we start? Look at this. Beautiful chorizo, chorito, and carrots. In we go into the pot. Full blast on the pan for a while. And we're just going to give it a minute to saute off and start bringing out the natural oils from the chorizo as well and the natural sugars from the carrots. Given that a couple of minutes, we're releasing the sugar from the carrots, we're bringing out the paprika and the natural oils from the chorizo, and it's really important that we do that, okay? And you're gonna see why. It's what enhances the flavor. Trust me, technique, timing, seasoning, these are all points that are crucial. Now, what have we got here? I've got basically some long grain rice, just ordinary white rice, that's why it's not a paella, and we've got a little bit of diced courgette. That's gonna go in the same time, and the rice is gonna pick up all the oils and the flavors and everything. So in we go. Look at that, nice and simple. That's another dish down. Now, let's just give that and I'll stir in. And basically what we're looking to do here is just mix all the rice in so it picks up all the oils and the flavors. Look at this little bit of a crust that's coming onto the bottom of the pan, okay? That's what we're looking for. This gives the rice a little bit of a nuttiness flavor. Next, we're gonna throw in, I have some simple mushrooms, forest mushrooms, button mushrooms, a little bit of diced red onion, and also, you know I love my garlic, so there's about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic going into that, straight into the pan. And after that, we're gonna start seasoning and start adding in our stock. All we have is some chicken stock, some vegetable stock, any of that kind of stock. It's a stock cube, okay? That's what we're doing, nice and simple. So this will sizzle for a sec. Beautiful. So put in about maybe 200 mils there. And now, all you're gonna see me doing is, once the rice has absorbed the stock, I'm gonna put in a little bit more, I'm gonna do a little bit more stock, a little bit more stirring, some fancy music in the background that the director loves. And when you come back after about 20, 25 minutes, we're gonna be not far off the finished product. pretty much all absorbed into the rice. The flavor, the smell is absolutely amazing. Check it now, because once we add in everything else, you won't be able to re-season it. Okay, so check it now. Smell it, absolutely. Oh my God. Oh my God, that is so damn good. Okay, so now, I talked to you about the prawns earlier on, some king prawns. We're gonna throw them in now. And the residual heat will pretty much finish them off. Now, stir them all in. Look at this, absolutely fantastic. And while we're waiting on the prawns to cook, that gives me a chance to take out the chicken and to take out the beautiful smoked pork sausages. So let's go get them. All about presentation. I keep telling you that all the time. You eat with your eye first. Oh, look at that. Look at the sizzle coming out. The juice. Let's cut straight through. Tell me you would not eat that. It's a kind of a rice dish. I don't care what you call it. I don't care how long it takes. Make it. Come back next week. We got loads more. What a way to end the show. We are blessed right here in Kerry with the amazing seafood we get right out of the Kenmare Bay. And I'm going to show you how to cook it and have a great laugh on the way. So come on, step inside Trevo's kitchen. Coming up on the show today, a beautiful so fast salmon dish. If you blink, you might miss me making it. Then after that, I'm going to show you a beautiful portobello mushroom with a little bit of sun-dried tomato and olives and goat's cheese melting in it. Caramelized red onions, you're going to absolutely love it. Then afterwards, we've got this stunning bruschetta, and I'm going to do it 3 different ways for you. And to finish up the show, a beautiful pork fillet with a lovely creamy mushroom orzo pasta. Now, I want to show you this amazing salmon dish. It's so fast. I'm telling you, like I said, if you blink, you might just miss me make it. So we're going to start off with kind of a guacamole, okay? So we get a nice ripe avocado. And this one's pretty soft. Might be a little bit black inside, but doesn't matter. The riper, the more flavor. So you just cut around, and then we just twist it. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. Knife into the stone and twist and take it out. Twist and out. So we're going to scoop out our avocado here. Look at that. It's so beautifully ripe and straight in. And guacamole, I know everyone gets so caught up on these kind of traditional recipes. Put in whatever you like in every single recipe. It's you who's cooking, and most importantly, it's you that's eating. So beautiful avocado going in there. And we're just going to kind of mush that in now a nice little bit. And we're going to throw in a little bit of lime juice as well into it, because otherwise it's going to go black very quickly. And now a little bit of salt, a little bit of crack of the black pepper. You can leave it like that if that's how you want your guacamole. So there's our little bit of green and red chili. Perfect. A couple of spring onions. Now I actually think that's enough of the white because I don't want to overpower it. Now in we go with that. Give that a little stir around. And I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil just to loosen it up, like a very small amount, a teaspoon. And it is as simple as that. Now, the reason why I said it's a pretty quick salmon dish is because it's gonna cook really fast. So we're gonna go into our fishmonger and we're gonna ask him for a lovely fillet of salmon, and all the pin bones are taken out, and we're gonna take the skin off. So here's what we do. Just go down at the end at the back like so, and then 45-degree angle along the skin, just slide your knife through like so, okay? Nice and simple, beautiful skinned piece of salmon. Now, slice it down in 3 different pieces. Lovely. And again, this is gonna really help to the presentation. You'll see when I put the whole dish together. I'm just gonna do a little bit of salt and pepper. So we're gonna put in a little bit of our olive oil and a little bit of our butter. So in we go. Look at that. Now, presentation side down always, and seasoning side down always, because we're gonna season the other side when it's in the pan. Now, make sure it's on full blast, nice and hot. And here's what you're looking for. Keep an eye on the side of the salmon. You can see it turning pink or opaque at the bottom. So when that starts to get about maybe half the way up, we're gonna flick it over. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna season the other side. Season, season, season. Every time you cook, think that. Sing a song to it. I don't care how you do, remember. Season, season, season. It's the most important thing in cooking. Now, what are we gonna serve this with? A little bit of kind of maybe rocket on top. We put into this one a little bit of sesame oil. And we don't need to put in any pepper because rocket is quite peppery, and a little bit of vinegar, which I forgot. There we go. A little bit of raspberry vinegar, dressings, oil, and acid. Lovely. This is such a simple dish now. That's it. The salmon. We're almost ready to flick already. See the way it's come up pretty much halfway? That means we're good to turn. So, get your palette knife in. Don't be afraid. Put your fingers on top of it, guys, to control it turning over. Look at that. Simple. Simple. Absolutely stunning. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to turn the heat off the pan and let the residual heat finish that off. That's all it takes. 2 minutes, literally. First recipe of the show, and we are almost done already. Listen to the pan. Listen to the pan. Now I'm going to throw in half a teaspoon of teriyaki sauce. Just a little bit. And look what I do with it here now, guys. I'm going to turn that heat off because I don't want that to cook anymore and make it all crumbly and break. If it does break, don't worry about it. But we're going to try and go for the seasoning on it. And now look what we do. Just a little bit of butter and a little bit of the teriyaki sauce just on top. And the reason why we always cook presentation side down first is because afterwards the oil is going to get a little bit kind of dirty and then it's not going to look as good. Okay, plate. And our guacamole. Stunning. Let's get our salmon. 1, 2, ha ha ha. 3, look at that, beautiful. Don't forget your little juice and everything that's in the pan. That's all part of the flavor. Just a little bit like that. Oh, absolutely stunning. Mix up our little bit of rocket with the dressing. We're just gonna put that on top, form it into, look, really simple, into a little ball into your hand like that. Throw up on top of this. And to finish it all off, 1 more spoon, a little bit of creme fraiche. You know, let the imagination run loose. Now, look at that. It's the start of the show. We've just after cooking an absolute pretty quick salmon dish. Cooking should be fun, cooking should be easy, but most importantly, it should be enjoyable. And we're gonna do a cracking portobello mushroom with goat's cheese. What is a portobello mushroom? This is what they're known as, portobello mushrooms. They're the large, kind of flat cap, they're also known as that. And we're just gonna take out the bit of a stalk as well. So, a little bit of olive oil into our pan here. We're also going to throw in a little bit of butter into the pan. It's going to be finished in the oven for 3 or 4 minutes, which gives us a great opportunity to clean down, pour yourself a glass of wine or whatever it is you want to do. Start it off nice and high. And we're going to put it face down like this first. Beautiful. Like so. Now, so we put them in nicely. That'll start soaking up the oil and the butter, and we just season. So now a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Meanwhile, in this pan, a tiny little bit of olive oil. We're going to make what's known as kind of like a red onion marmalade, okay? So basically it just kind of sweetens up the red onions. Now, just because I'm seeing the mushroom talking to me saying, turn me over, let's turn over our mushroom here. Delighted with that. Season, just a little bit on the other side. At this stage, reduce the heat. And our onions, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And we're gonna let that soften down nicely. Don't be afraid to touch the food. It tells you what it's doing. And you can still feel completely solid. So it needs maybe 5-6 more minutes to really soften down, okay? And that gives us plenty of time to reduce our lovely onion marmalade. I love the balsamic vinegar. It comes up nice and sharp. Starts to fill the kitchen with beautiful smell. Now let's check our mushrooms there again. Softening up beautifully. Now what we can do is we can flick them back over. Lovely. Almost there. Delighted with that. Let's give it a little bit of a helping hand and throw in a little bit of wild honey. We're blessed here in Kerry. We've got so many great producers and their bees making beautiful wild honey. So what we're going to put into this is a little bit of our sun-dried tomatoes. We've also got a couple of green black olives. Now listen to me, for this kind of paste, just use a simple jar of green and black olives. Don't go spending way too much money on the more expensive ones. So a handful of the green and the black. I'm going to use them later on, my tomatoes. We've also got some lovely toasted pine nuts. We throw in about, what's that, about two or three tablespoons of. You can see the onion is beginning to soften down. See here in the corner, look at that. That is exactly what we want. Delighted with that. What am I looking for? Oh yes, my cheese grater. So we're going to put in, we'll see, about a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese. Now, we might throw in a bit more after, but I think that is going to do the job nicely. Now, perfect. And we are going to put a little bit of our olive oil in. About a tablespoon. Might put a little bit more in afterwards. And we are ready to blitz. Now, this actually might work a little bit better if I put the blade in it. These kind of things happen. Stick the old blade in, squash it down. Look at that. Problem solved. We never panic. I'm going to turn the heat off my mushrooms there now, because they're pretty much done. Now, let's go. Perfect. Okay, look at this now. Onions. And this is now where the magic begins. So we're finished with that. And what we'll do now is just swap that for 1 second. The flavor of this is absolutely amazing. So here's what we do. A little bit of the paste right on top of the mushroom. Now, that's the paste on our 3 mushrooms. And now we're gonna just put a little bit of our onion marmalade or confit of onions, whatever you wanna call it, right on top of that. So we're kind of like building the dish. Look at that, absolutely beautiful. Lovely. And how we're gonna finish this, because I love doing this kind of stuff, we're gonna finish it off in a hot oven or under the grill for a couple of minutes. And of course, it wouldn't be a portobello mushroom and goat's cheese if we didn't put a nice dollop of goat's cheese on it. Again, Kerry, we're blessed with some fantastic producers. So just slice down. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Slice down. Fabulous. So 1 goat's cheese. 2 goat's cheese, and 3 goat's cheese. The mushroom is almost done, so basically we just want to put into the oven 180 degrees for about 4 or 5 minutes, just for the goat's cheese to soften. Now, absolutely perfect. Now, little knob of butter. Have a good look at this, okay? That's the goat's cheese. It's softened, a little bit crispy on top, but it hasn't been in there for too long that it completely melts and completely falls apart. That's important, because otherwise it's just going to be all over the place, okay? So you want to keep a little bit of shape in it. Just for a bit of garnish, a couple of different mixed leaves, tiny little bit of olive oil, maybe a little bit of walnut oil, just something a little bit different. All with some sort of an acid, so just a squeeze of lemon juice. So just give it a little bit of a twist. Now, put that right into the middle of our plate. A few cherry tomatoes there, a little bit of salt and pepper on that. Simple, simple, simple. Palette knife. This is a lovely one there, look at that. Now, let's put that right on top. Look at that, just to finish it off. You know what we'll do, a little bit of the walnut oil around the side. It's a great vegetarian dish. Coming up after the break, we've got plenty more. We've got a beautiful pork dish, got a few other bits and pieces you're gonna absolutely love it. But that is a grilled portobello mushroom with some fantastic goat's cheese on top. The whole concept of the series is it's so easy to cook food. Don't get worried about time constraints and don't worry about how many ingredients you have to do. Just cook. It's that simple. So we're gonna do bruschetta, bruschetta, tomato. I don't care what you call it, just make it. And we're gonna do it 3 different ways. We've got some beautiful cream cheese or mascarpone cheese here. And we've got some lovely smoked salmon. That's gonna be 1. Then we're gonna do beautiful spring onions and tomatoes. And then the last one we're gonna finish off is a little bit of chicken on top of a kind of a fresh yogurt and parmesan dressing. We'll do the tomato one first. I have a beautiful sourdough bread, spring onions, and in we go. The tomato in half, in quarter, remove the seeds, and then we're gonna cut each quarter into half, and we're gonna skin it. Keep it nice and flat, so it's even the skin underneath it, and just work all the way out. Now, a little bit of a kind of a dice. And I say it every time with the tomatoes, never take a tomato straight out of the fridge and eat it. You won't taste a thing. Make sure it's at least at room temperature. So what we want now is to season it, marinate it, and for this one, we're gonna put in a little bit of the sesame oil. And just mix it all up. That's 1 done already. Now, let's go on to the next one. We'll do our creme fraiche here. And a little bit of lemon. So don't go down onto the pit. Once you see the white, stop, okay? That's pretty bitter. And put it straight into our mascarpone cheese. We're gonna dice a little bit of the smoked salmon through the mascarpone cheese and then finish it off with a nice slice on top so everybody knows exactly which one it is. Put that in. Just give that a nice little mix up. Actually, you know what would be nice? A bit of dill, a little bit of dill, smoked salmon and dill. We're just gonna mix that up. Perfect. Topping number 2. Okay, we've got a little bit of rocket and lamb's lettuce there. Get a nice sourdough. We're just gonna put them straight onto our pan and let them basically toast away. The last one we have to do really is just our chicken. So we make our dressing. We've got fresh yogurt, and I'm gonna put in some lovely grated Parmesan cheese, a bit of walnut oil. Just mix it all up. How easy is that of a dressing? I also put just a little bit of oil on the bread as well, just to kind of help it along and flip her over like that. Just be careful when you're doing it at home. That's very hot, obviously. Pan, how we doing here? We're doing nice. Just a little bit of oil. We certainly need our butter. So I'm using the breast of chicken here. So at an angle, straight through, nice and fine. Look at that. Nice thin slice. So what do? You know by now, Salt and pepper, season, presentation, and season side down, always. Season the other side. And a little bit of our pepper, a little bit of garlic, and just rub it on. We'll start with our first one, with our cream cheese. Look at that lovely piece of smoked salmon. Oh yeah. Numero uno. You're gonna be amazed just how quickly the chicken cooks. How do we know when it's done? Touch the food, okay? There needs to be a little bit of give in it, but not too soft. If it's too soft, it's still raw, okay? Bruschetta number 2, tomatoes and spring onions. And I love the flavors. The last piece of our beautiful toasted sourdough, a little bit of the garlic, don't forget. Dressing there on our salad leaves. Our 2 little pieces of chicken. Oh, that looks nice. I'm gonna pick that one over that way. How does that guy look? Oh, that looks good. That looks so good. And I got a bit of Parmesan shavings here as well. I told you it was simple. I told you it was easy. And I told you it was gonna be tasty. And don't, for a single second, think you're gonna waste the butter. That goes on just a little bit. That's bruschetta's 3 ways. Smoked salmon, tomato spring onion, and chicken. I told you it was a jam-packed episode, and we're gonna finish with an absolute cracker. I can barely see. It's a pork fillet with mushrooms, orzo, white wine, and cream. I ran out of space. I was gonna put Mediterranean, but I didn't know how to spell it. Right, so let's get cracking. A little bit of oil. You know the drill at this stage now. And just a little bit of butter. So what is orzo? Orzo is basically just another type of pasta. And we're gonna throw in a few mushrooms here into the pan and listen to the food. Look at that, beautiful. Now, red onion, nice and fine this time. So let's just pop our red onions straight into our pan. Perfect. So let's do a little bit of seasoning now, okay? Very important that we get the seasoning in at the start. So a little bit of rock salt, and a little bit of our pepper. 20 grinds, and add on 2 more for good measure. Perfect. Pork fillet. The fillet is in underneath the ribs. And that's why it's the most tender piece of meat you'll find in anything. You see a little line? This is what's known as the chain of pork. So we're just gonna take that off. So we cut it straight through and take off our chain. So the fillet, it's tucked in underneath 1 or 2 little muscles. So we wanna free it from that. We don't want to have any of the little sinew bits in it or a bit of extra muscle in it. So just clean it all down. It takes 2 seconds. And if you're totally unsure of this, just ask your butcher to do it for you. Now, so that is all the muscles taken off. Knife in underneath the sinew and then point it up towards the sky and pull off that sinew. Why are we doing that? Because, well, it's tough and it's chewy, so we don't want it. Now, let's give it a little bit of a trim here and 1 final trim here. Okay, that's our pork fillet ready. But I want to get back onto our sauce here. So turn up the heat now that we're ready for it. Wait till we hear that bit of the sizzle again, so look. And once we start to hear it sizzling up, that's when we're going to add in just a little bit of white wine, and then we're going to reduce it down by half. Look at that. Beautiful. And now we can forget about that while that does its thing and reduces. Slice just a little bit of the garlic nice and finely, not a crush this time. 1.5 or 2 cloves of garlic depending on size. In we go. Reducing means concentrating of the flavor, okay? So now we're going to put in our cream. Again, let that come up to temperature and let that start to reduce. That's already cooked, that orzo. That stays perfect in the fridge for 3-4 days. Before you use it, maybe rinse it under water or something like that to loosen it up. So we're going to cut this pretty much at an angle to get nice thin slices like so. It's going to cook really quick because we're cutting it so fine and so thin like this. Look at that. So let's start putting on a little bit of our oil and our marinade. We're going to wash the board after this, so we'll do it all here right on the board. Plenty of oil. We've got our heat on the go. A little bit of salt. You know, try and limit the amount of washing up that you have to do. Put in our little bit of dried herbs again, and a little bit of our pepper. Lovely. Now, check out the cream here. You see the way it's bubbling away nicely like that? So you want to really drop the heat. You want that not to be getting like too fierce, just nice and calm. So it's thickening up. So drop the heat right down to a very gentle simmer. And now our pork. So here we go. With our orzo, we're going to put that straight into our sauce now. And we're basically just warming that through. Beautiful. Get it all in there, wasting nothing. Let's get a spoon and kind of stir in our sauce there. And already, that's a stunning little dish. So forget about that for a sec. Let it do its thing. So let's turn over our pork. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Look at that. The beautiful crust, the beautiful seal on the pan, because it was red hot when we put it in. So important. Pick over the next one. Over our last one. Now I'm going to say something slightly controversial to you here. You're going like, what's new? But I'm going to turn the heat off now on that. We're going to let the residual heat finish it off. It's entirely up to yourself. The fillet of pork, in my opinion, can be served a little pink on the inside. Now we're going to make our kind of Mediterranean glaze. So let's throw in just a little bit of our diced, lovely sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to finish the pork off in the oven for about 10 minutes, not even, probably about 5 minutes I'd say, at 180. So let's put in our tomatoes. Let's get a few of our black olives and our green olives. Beautiful. Let's pop that into our little dish. And we're just going to finish it off with a little bit of crumbly feta cheese. I love feta cheese, absolutely love it. And I'm going to put a piece on each piece of pork and finish it off in the oven for a couple of minutes. And our orzo is going to be ready for action. Okay, let's go. Now, let's check out this. Oh yeah. Most of you are thinking, he put no butter into that pork. That's when we put it in now. Just let it kind of lovely melt away into it. Finish a little bit of a shine. Now, in all my cleaning up, have a guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to get myself a serving dish. So guess what we're going to be serving it in? That's right, right in the pan. This is how we're going to serve it. Put our orzo in the pan. It's one of those brilliant family dishes. Straight down to the table. Let's throw our orzo here. Turn off our heat. What am I looking for now? My fork. So let's just take your time. The pork is absolutely perfect. Right on top. Look at this. Ah, yes. This is what I'm talking about. It's a simple little dish. It's what the whole show is about. Don't tell me you don't have time to do these things. Took a few minutes. Always a bit of green somewhere to lift the dish. So when you bring it down to your table, there you go. Who's not gonna want to try that? Come back next week. There's plenty more in the can, loads more recipes. But for now, that's Trevo's Kitchen. Paella, paella, bruschetta, bruschetta. I don't care what you call it, just as long as you cook it. But come on, let's get in from the rain. Welcome to Trevo's Kitchen.